Hey friends, this is Ryan with Arrows of Love. Welcome back to my channel. I've missed you all. Today I'm going to talk about the astrology of March 2021. And for the most part, things are going to be kind of tame. But there's some really good things that are going to happen in March too that I want you to pay attention to. There's a new moon that's coming up that's extremely potent. It's magical. And that's going to happen on the 13th. I'm going to go through each sign and talk about that. But this is really the general astrology for March. I'm going to do tarot readings, love tarot readings for each sign later on this month. But today I'm going to talk about the general astrology. Right now we're in Pisces season. The sun is in Pisces. Pisces is the 12th house. It is the last house in the zodiac. It is the culmination of all of the other signs. So it's marks basically the end. It's the end of a cycle. And if you want to think about Pisces, just generally speaking, it's extremely dreamy. It's imaginative. It's loving. It's a water sign. So it's more about the feeling of going deep into the subconscious, into the dream state, so you can manifest your dreams into reality when the sun goes into Aries, which marks the spring equinox. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But Pisces season is all about the good feels. It's extremely intuitive. It might be the most intuitive sign of the zodiac. It's right up there with Cancer, another water sign. And here Pisces is ruled by, the modern astrologers at least say it's ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is in Pisces right now, and it's going to be there for another 5 or 6 years. The ancient astrologers said that Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, which is extremely good luck. It's expansive. It's about the ethereal. It's an extremely spiritual house. So really pay attention to your dreams, at least until March 20th. That's when the sun is going to be in Pisces, and then it moves into Aries. And it's going to just increase your intuitive nature. You're going to be getting psychic downloads. Pay attention to your dreams because it's telling you things through the subconscious that need to come out when you go into Aries season. That's the spring equinox, that's the rebirth. So really this is a time of endings, it's the subconscious, but it's also extremely creative, extremely intuitive, imaginative. So this is the time to really dive deep into your subconscious. The other excellent part about this month is that Venus, goddess of love, creativity, money, attractiveness, socializing Venus, she's also in Pisces right now until March 21st. And here, Venus does extremely well. It's exalted in Pisces. This is a part of the essential dignities. And that basically means that Venus is kind of like your most comfortable blanket. It's something that just feels so comfortable here. So imagine that Jupiter and Neptune essentially rule Pisces. But here, when Venus is visiting the house of Neptune and Jupiter, it kind of has like the nicest room in the castle. She just does extremely well here. It's extremely romantic. It's soft. It's the soft heart. It's compassionate. It's empathetic. It's just a really soft time where you start to get in touch with your feelings on a very deep transcendental level, because Pisces is also about transcendence. It's spirituality. Jupiter, which the ancient astrologers said ruled this particular sign, is about laws and morality, but it's universal laws. It's morality that's of the gods, so to speak. So this is a house that they do very well in. Venus is the lesser benefic and Jupiter is the greater benefic. So when the lesser benefic is visiting the house of the greater benefic, it's kind of like you're going to make peanut butter cookies and watch your favorite love movie and cuddle with your dog and or cuddle with your loved one. I mean, that's kind of the feeling of Pisces with Venus and Pisces. So it's extremely beneficial for all of us. Again, it's extremely intuitive, and there's also this feeling of longing. So remember this too with Pisces. It's the last sign. It's Neptune is the furthest out planet if you don't count Pluto, which we do in astrology, but you can't see it with the naked eye. So it's something that's almost beyond our reach. It's a longing to touch the ethereal, to be a part of spirituality. So really pay attention to your dreams if you're getting psychic downloads. Those are going to be extremely important this month. I'm doing this video on March 4th. Also happening today, Mercury, which is finally done with its retrograde phase. It's still in its shadow, which means the time when it's moving forward to the time that it starts retrograding back, that's the shadow phase. It's still in its shadow phase, but it's moving forward. It's going to conjoin with Jupiter for the third and final time today. And when Mercury hits Jupiter, this is expanded thinking. This is intellectual curiosity. It's intellectually expansive. Mercury is what's on your mind. It's the messenger planet. It's business savvy. It's thinking. And when it hits Jupiter, which is optimism and good luck and expansion, you can have some really great inventive ideas during this time. It's also extremely philosophical too. So, but careful here, because sometimes we take these big ideas to the extreme where it's just not possible to actually achieve it. So watch for exaggerated thinking, being too optimistic. There can be letdowns if you try to take this a little bit too far. But I want you to dream about utopia. What does that look like? And I'll tell you why. Because on March 13th, there's some really great opportunities during that time. The other thing about Pisces season that you should be aware of is that Pisces is often associated with escapism. And what I mean by that is drugs, alcohol, sex, anything that's addictive. Pisces wants to escape reality. It wants to live in that dream state. So we see a tendency with Pisces, and I'm not saying this about all Pisces, to escape reality, to live in a different type of world. So whatever your drug is, so to speak, it doesn't have to actually be a drug, but just be aware of that. There's a tendency for escapism here. So, there's a possibility that there could be some drug overdoses. People might have some issues with alcoholism. These things might come to light around this time. So that's the negative side of Pisces. Pisces can also be a little bit of, they like to bend the truth because they're living in that dream state. So be careful of that too. Neptune, which rules Pisces, that's the modern astrology here. It can be very confusing and nebulous at times. So it has this fuzzy feel to it every once in a while, depending on where it's at in your birth chart. So keep that in mind. There's this element of escapism with this as well. March 13th. Okay, so this is a very important day. So I've talked about new moons. The new moon is always the new lunar cycle. This is when the moon passes over the sun. They can join, at least on the zodiacal wheel. This is always a time for new beginnings. It's time to plant the seed for something new. What's important about this new moon on the 13th is that it's going to be within only a few degrees of Neptune, and it's going to be only a few degrees away from Venus. So you have the sun, the moon, Venus, and Neptune all conjoined in Pisces. And this is magical on a different level, okay? So it's almost like, again, going into the dream state. It's very romantic if you want it to be. It's extremely creative. It's getting lost in this utopian land that you've created in your head. But the good thing is that whenever you start on the new moon, it comes to fruition in the full moon, okay? And the full moon will be in Libra the next time around. So it's only a few weeks away, but whatever you plant the seed on the 13th, it is probably one of the most potent new moons of our entire year. It is actually, just because it's right next to Venus and Pluto. So whatever you want to put into motion during this time on the 13th, it's incredible. You're not going to have another opportunity like this again the entire year. And again, Venus is about money, attractiveness, social ability, love. Neptune, again, it's about transcendence. It's about the ethereal, spirituality. And then the sun and the moon, the luminaries, right there, right at 22 degrees. So if you have any planets sitting at 22 degrees, you're going to be activated during this time. It's incredible energy, and it's going to feel like the new start. So definitely pay attention to what's happening during this time. If you're looking to launch any projects during this time, if you're looking to start something new, it's incredible energy on that 13th. I actually want to back up before that. I missed actually a really important part. So Mars, which is our vitality, it's courage, it's pioneering, it's action oriented, it's also virility, left Taurus today on March 4th, and now it's moving into Gemini for the next 2 months. Mars takes about 2 months to transit each sign. Mars in Taurus doesn't do so well. It's a Venus-ruled sign, and Mars is the antithesis of Venus, essentially, right? Venus is the divine feminine. Mars is the divine masculine. So when Mars is in Taurus, Mars wants to move forward. Taurus is a very slow-moving sign. The two energies kind of clash. But here in Gemini, Mars is going to be more interactive. Gemini is the chatty Cathy of the zodiac. So you're going to see a lot more interaction, a lot more communication, just generally speaking, with Mars moving through Gemini. Gemini is about learning. It's about thinking. It's intellect. It's marketing and selling and communication and local communities. So these are all things that are going to ring true over the next 2 months, depending on where this falls in your own natal chart. So it's intellectually curious. It's going to be a lot of interaction. So you're going to see people kind of pick up in mood over the next couple of months. On the negative side is Gemini and Mars can be flighty, flaky, and scattered. So you might just be think your thoughts just might be everywhere, or communication just might be kind of scattered. So that's kind of the negative side of Mars and Gemini. But it's going to be there for the next 2 months. Mars does pretty well in Gemini because Mars rules Aries, which is a fire sign. And if we're taking whole sign houses, Aries makes a sextile, which is an opportunity, 60 degrees over to Gemini. So this is harmonious energy, typically speaking, for Mars. So we're just going to feel a nice boost in vitality over the next couple months. Mars is going to be there until April 23rd, so about 2 months or so. Moving forward, March 21st, Mars traveling through Gemini is going to be making a trine. That's a 120-degree angle. Those are cosmic blessings. That's the most harmonious type of angle or aspect that the two planets can make to each other over to restrictive old guard Saturn, which is sitting over in Aquarius and is going to be there for the next couple of years. So the last time these two made contact, which was a square when Mars was traveling through Taurus, it made a square over to Saturn. During that time, that was right around the time of the insurrection on the Capitol. We saw the impeachment of Donald Trump. So now Mars is going to be making the trining aspect over to this. So we might see some things come to resolution on that particular front right around the 21st. So right now the Senate is holding these hearings. So maybe we see some resolution where maybe people come together finally and we start healing from that event as a nation. So look out what's happening on the 21st. I think there's going to be some good things there. Mars and Saturn traditionally are two malefic planets. The ancient astrologers thought they were malefic, but when they're making trines to each other, it's almost like resolution comes about. So there could be some resolution happening with things that were coming about right around that January 20th, 13th time frame when they were making that square to each other. But the thing is, on March 23rd, communication, Mercury is going to be making a square over to Mars. And at this point, Mercury is going to be in Pisces. It's at its opposite sign that it rules. So Mercury rules two signs. It rules Gemini and it rules Virgo. Virgo is on the opposite side of the wheel from Pisces. So that means that Mercury's in its fall in Pisces. And think about it this way. Mercury is an intellectual sign. It is an intellectual planet. It's about thinking. It's about communication. It's about business savviness. So, but in a water sign like Pisces, it just gets lost. So sometimes you have a hard time communicating feelings. It's just one of these things where Mercury gets really confused, and it doesn't do so well in Pisces. And on top of that, it's going to be making a square over to Mars in Gemini. So this is going to be tricky energy. So be careful about your communication this day. People might be a little bit agitated. There's angst in the air during this time. So again, it's just one of those things where that Mercury-Mars dynamic can be extremely aggressive too. So you really have to watch communication during this time. The other thing that I want to bring up is that Saturn and Uranus, and I brought this up in other videos, are making that square, and they're past the exact square, which happened on February 17th. Uranus is sitting in Taurus, right around that 7 to 8 degree mark, and Saturn is sitting in Aquarius, again, at about 8 degrees. Well, they've passed the exact square, but they're going to meet up again. Now, if you were paying attention to what was happening around the 17th, and I've talked about this dynamic, it's old guard versus new guard, the future versus the past. It's the push and pull, and each one is going to win out, throughout the entire year. But if you're watching what's happening around the 17th, Texas lost all of its power. Its structures, which rules Saturn, Saturn rules structures, completely went out. So here, the old guard, old structures in a way failed. And Uranus kind of won out here when it was, Uranus represents the future, technology, where are you going? Saturn's about the past, it's about structures and government. So you can see the two dynamics come about in stark reality there right around the time of the exact square. So again, this is going to be happening throughout the entire year, and Uranus is going to retrograde, and so is Saturn. They're going to hit each other again on June 14th. And then the last and final square between the two are going to happen on December 23rd. So this is a dynamic we're going to see time and time again. We can see it in politics, new guard versus old guard. And you can define that whatever way you want to, but you'll see it in your personal life as well. But it was an interesting little thing that had come about right around the 17th with that Texas power outage, and tragically people died during that, and they're trying to figure out what do you do when a massive snowstorm like that once in a generation hits the South, that apparently just weren't quite prepared for that. So I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but there are, this again has to deal with natural disasters. I've talked about this in other videos. So we could see some earthquakes, we could see some volcanoes. Uranus is the sky god. Saturn rules the earth. So you can see, like, when the two clash, I just think of volcanoes and earthquakes, generally speaking. So again, pay attention to that energy as we go through the year. Now, I want to go back to the new moon. Again, this is the sun, the moon, Neptune, and Venus all coming together at 22 degrees, 23 degrees of Pisces. And what is that going to mean for each sign? So let's start with Aries. Aries is the first sign. So Aries, Pisces is 12 signs past Aries. 12th house, again, is about the subconscious. It's about endings. It's about finishing things up. It's about diving deep into the dream state. It's also about self-undoing. So you need to be careful about self-sabotage during this time. A lot of times this is where things trip people up, things that they don't see coming because it's the 12th house. So it's also a spiritual house. So these are things that come about in a spiritual manner. But when you have Neptune, Venus, the sun, all of this energy sitting in one concentrated place, it could be a really great ending of sorts, or finishing up a project, or moving on to something else, because there's a benefic energy to this. But again, watch for self-sabotage here, because the 12th house can be tricky. Taurus, this is going to happen in your 11th house. Pisces is 11 signs past Taurus. So here this has to do with friends, group associations, the future, your hopes, wishes, and dreams, and technology. So here, if you want to make something, if you want to wish upon a star, now is the time to do that, because it's all about where you want to go in the future. So laying that new seed for the new future on that new moon on the 13th would be extremely beneficial. Maybe something comes through with friends, or something great comes about with a new group association. On the negative side, you need to be really careful of hanging out with the wrong friends. Again, Pisces is about escapism. So if you're hanging out with people that aren't good for you, maybe this is a new time to maybe start some new friendships. Gemini, this is going to happen in your 10th house. Pisces is 10 signs past Gemini. So this 10th house has to do with career. It has to do with the public, your reputation in the world, how you present yourself into the world. So there could be some really great new things happening in the career sector, or maybe anything to do with the public, just generally speaking. So if you're looking to start something new on the career front, the 13th is a good time to put out your feelers, maybe send out some applications, get out in social media, promote yourself. Especially with Venus sitting in the 10th, that's really great for money, and just putting yourself out there. Cancer, this is going to happen in your 9th house. Pisces is 9 signs past Cancer. The 9th house is the house of spirituality. This is traditionally ruled by Jupiter. So when you have all of these planets sitting in the 9th house, this is about higher education, long distance learning, spirituality and morality. It could also be about mentorship too. So maybe you get a mentor during this time that takes you to a new direction, to expand the mind. So it's all about going the distance here, and expanding whatever it is you're looking for, whether it's intellect, travel, feeding the soul, so to speak. So watch for those themes, or even higher education for that matter. Cancer. Leo, this is going to happen in your 8th house. Pisces is 8 signs past Leo. The 8th house is a tricky house. So it's the death and rebirth process. It's endings, it's new beginnings, it's psychology, it's hidden things. It's about sex, it's about taxes and death. It's also about joint ventures and financial lump sums. So if you're dealing anything with loans, debt, restructuring debt, financial institutions, anything to that sort might come about during this time. Maybe you want to refinance your house or restructure your debt in some way. It has to do with other people's money too. So pay attention to that. It could happen with a partner. It could happen with family, friends. It could impact you. The 8th house is a house of karmic debt too. So perhaps a karmic debt needs to be paid during this time with that new moon, or maybe you're clearing out karmic debris, so to speak. So be aware of that. Sometimes the 8th can be pretty tricky, but you're going to navigate through this just fine, Leo. All right, who is next? Virgo. Virgo, this is going to be really great for you because this is happening in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, marriage, and legal contracts. So if you're looking to get married or take your relationship to the next level, wow. Venus in the 7th. Venus rules the 7th house. So there could be some really great things happening with your one-on-one relationships. Maybe you meet someone new during this time. If you're single and looking, be sure you get yourself out there around the 13th time frame, or just all during March, because it's extremely beneficial for you, especially with Neptune and Venus. It's just a highly romantic time. You might get lost in love. Be sure you don't overdo it though. You don't get swept away. Because that could be one pitfall with this, where you kind of don't see all of reality. Remember, Pisces is very dreamy, so you could get kind of lost in the dream state and not see some of reality. But wow, this is incredible for you, just generally speaking, because it's sitting in that 7th house and it's starting something new. Again, marriage, one-on-one relationships, and legal contracts. So anything dealing with that, extremely beneficial around the 13th. Libra, this is going to happen in your 6th house. So the 6th house is about health, service. It's about routine and work. It's kind of about the mundane things of life. So maybe you're looking to start a new health routine, You want to get in shape for summer and spring. Maybe you start looking at your work situation. Maybe something needs to just change in the daily life. The sixth house can be difficult too. It's kind of like the 12th. This was traditionally associated with servitude, slavery, and health issues. So be sure you're taking care of your health during this time, Libra, because something could come up on that front. But more likely than not, you're going to be really busy with work and dealing with the work front, or maybe just trying to get back into shape for summer or something. It looks like we might have a vaccine out for everybody in the United States, at least right around May. So maybe you're just thinking, hey, it's time to get back out there and clean up the routine. So great for that, but know that sometimes the sixth house can be difficult to get through. Scorpio, this is going to happen in your fifth house. This is the house of recreation, fun, athletics, short-term romances, and children. So generally speaking, the fifth house is very romantic, and so this is great for you if you're looking to get out there and meet someone new or re-spark the flame with your relationship, or anything to that effect, because the fifth house is ruled by the sun. The sun is in the fifth house with the moon and with Venus and Neptune. I mean, this is really great for you because it's making a trining aspect over to you, Scorpio. So get out there, be athletic, anything dealing with children. If you're looking to get pregnant or have children, the 13th is, potent to say the least. If you're not looking to get pregnant, know that too, because we're going to be having kids, guaranteed, due to this day. So I'm just letting you know that now. Sagittarius, this is going to happen in your fourth house. Pisces is 4 signs past Sag. The fourth house has to do with your emotions. This has to do with the home, your foundations, roots. You might be buying a new house. You might be moving. This also has to do with the mother too. So the fourth house is traditionally associated with mom. So, maybe there's new beginnings with mom. Maybe someone becomes a mom. This also has to do with emotion. So it's kind of like a new, fresh start of emotion. And the moon rules the fourth house. So here it is exalted for you, at least, Sagittarius. So really good things could come from here. Likely a move of some type. Maybe you're going to buy a house, or pick up and do something else. But it's great for you, Sag. Capricorn, this is going to be in your third house. Third house has to do with communication, learning, short distance travel, interactions, just generally speaking, communication and technology. So the third house has to do with communication. You're going to get a lot of messages, Capricorn, over this period. It could be something new. Maybe it's love messages. With Venus sitting over there, it's extremely beneficial because that's a sextile over to you for doing whole house aspects. Cap, great for communication, marketing and selling, putting yourself out there, anything to that effect. Local communities as well. So those are themes that are going to ring true for you if you want to plant the seed for something new. Aquarius, this is going to happen in your second house. Second house has to do with earned income, possessions, valuables, resources. So this could be something new on the resource front. This could be something new on the income front. Maybe a new stream of income comes in for you, or you have a great idea for a new stream of income. So anything dealing with resources. This also has to do with self-value too. So be careful about valuing yourself. Like I said, Pisces is about escapism. So you want to watch diving, avoid alcohol, avoid drugs, go and have sex if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't be a sex addict, because that's, anything too much of any one thing isn't good either. But anyway, I'll digress on that point. But it also has to do with self-value, the second house. So be careful of that. But this also has to do mostly with income and resources. So there could be a new stream of income come in for you, especially with Venus in the second. Venus rules the second house. So that's money. Money, show me the money. So yeah, that's really good. So good things are coming your way, Aquarius. All right, and Pisces, oh my gosh, what is going to happen with you? It's anybody's guess. The first house is about the body. It's about self-presentation. It's about whatever you want. You have all the power right now. You have Neptune, the sun, the moon, and Venus all sitting in your sign, an exalted Venus. So put your mind to what it is you want. Dream the dream, and then make it a reality when the sun moves into Aries, where you're going to have that ambition and that drive and that pioneering attitude to make it a reality. So that is always your how do I want to say this? This is always your mission, Pisces, is to live in the dream state, to bring the ethereal and transcendence to the world, and then attempt to make it a reality when things move into Aries during the spring equinox. So dream the dream of utopia, dream big. Whatever it is you want, if it's body maintenance, self-presentation, if you want to do a complete makeover, now is the time to do it on the 13th. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I miss you all. Leave a comment. Let me know how this new moon goes for you guys. I'm very interested to know how it all plays out for you. I'm very open about my own chart. I'm a Cancer rising, so I'm looking at the 9th house, which is spirituality. Here I am doing my video on spirituality. And, maybe there's a mentor on my way for me, higher education. But I have 4 progressed planets all in Pisces. So I have a lot coming up for me as well. So it's a very interesting time. I think it's a lighter energy. We're moving past some of the crummy energy that we had in 2020. There's some things lurking around the corner, but honestly, I think March is going to be a little bit lighter for everyone. It's got the feeling of spring, rebirth. So use that energy to your advantage. That new moon, though, just, if you want to start something new, the 13th, that whole week is the time to do it because it's potent and it's the best one. It's the most potent one of the entire year. So dream the dream and dream big. All right, until next time, we will talk later. My tarot readings will be back around mid-month. I'm dealing with some big work stuff right now, so I'm trying to find time for you guys today, but I hope you enjoyed this and we'll talk soon.